Okay, here's one that probably isn't in theaters anymore, but I'm sure will be streaming soon. And I really, really liked this. Not to bury the lead or anything, but I really like this. This is a Bollywood film, for lack of the proper terminology, called Vikram Vedha from 2022. Now, I did a little bit of research, and apparently this is a remake of another film that was in there's Hindi language, there's Tamil language. This was a remake of the Tamil film, also called Vikram Vedha, from just a few years ago, 2017, and it stars. I'm going to have to look off to my notes because these aren't names that I know, but I recognize the faces. It is directed by Gayatri and Pushkar and stars Saif Ali Khan and Hrithik. Roshan, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced those because Roshan is somebody I saw in another movie recently and I really enjoyed. So Vikram Vedha is, now here's the deal. Bollywood films don't play theatrically everywhere. They play in areas that have a large, Indian population. And luckily I live in a place that does now. So these movies, like every week, my local AMC has one of these. And if I decided to go somewhere that I wasn't already paying a subscription rate for, there would be even more of them. I think the Regal has them too. And I find Bollywood movies, I don't know a lot about them. I go see them when I can. But my take on Bollywood films is that it is a country with a predominantly not wealthy population. And the filmmakers treat these movies as, you're paying your money, we're going to give you the most entertainment possible. These movies are always about 3 hours long. They always have musical numbers, romance, action, comedy, dancing, you name it. It's like it hits almost every genre. It gives you a lot of bang for your buck, and I find them wildly entertaining. And the acting is outstanding. The cinematography is outstanding. I'm talking about this movie too. The comedy is funny. The action is really well done. And the musical numbers are like classic MGM musical style. Like if MGM never stopped making the musicals they made in their glory days, they would look like these films. So Vikram Vedha, the film we are gathered here to talk about today. So basically there's this tough cop and he has this like cop squad who's trying to bust a crime syndicate and work their way up to the big bad guy, and they can't ever seem to find him. They can't ever seem to nail him on anything. And then one day the big bad guy just walks into the police academy. I was going to say, that's a different film series. He walks into the police station and goes, "Hey, I give up." And he won't talk for the longest time. And eventually he does start talking to the top cop character, and he starts revealing elements of his past. He's like, well, before I tell you that, let me tell you a little story. And he'll talk about something that turned him in from like a normal guy into a criminal. And then later from a criminal into a gangster. And then from a gangster into, regional manager of the gangster, that kind of thing, how he worked his way up the ladder. And it reveals a little bit more of the humanity of this character if you believe he's telling the truth. And it also just paints a wider picture of all this stuff that's going on. So yes, this movie was 2.5 or 3 hours. Yes, it had a wild production number with the dark, evil villain singing and dancing and smiling and acting like a goofball, but just for those 3 minutes. And it had romantic, the tough cop who's like just killing suspects and things like that, or just shooting bad guys and planting evidence on them. This tender romantic montage set to a love song. I mean, it's got everything. I thought this was really good. These movies, again, tend to be quite entertaining, and I tend to quite like them. And this was no exception. Vikram Vedha was. The action was very good. The drama was really good. A little cheesy at times. Some of the drama's a little melodramatic. Some of the romance stuff's a little cheesy, but. Again, I say it in these interviews, these reviews, a lot of people tune out movies that aren't in English and they think they're lesser if they're not Hollywood movies. All over the world, people are making movies just as good as the movies that are playing in your local cinema. They just don't play your local cinema because they're not in English. And a lot of people really don't like to read subtitles, but boy, what you miss when you don't want to do that. Or watch dubbed movies, which is even easier. You don't even have to read for the dubbed movies. And I find it a lot of times now, like on Netflix or Amazon Prime, if you go down to the menu, you hit pause and the menu pops up. For a lot of stuff, you can choose to watch a dubbed version and not have to watch it subtitled. I find dubbing kind of distracting and annoying myself, but I get it. I totally get people's qualms. Vikram Vedha is the film we're talking about right here, and boy, was it entertaining. If you can see this in your local theater, I would recommend it because they put everything into these films. The action is spectacular. The location photography is gorgeous. The musical numbers are exceptionally well done. And the sound design is really good. So if you can see it big with a great sound system, that's great. But if you can watch it on TV, they're still good movies. A good movie's a good movie. So out now, in some form or another, from 2022, or I should say, is the 2022 version, not the 2017, because I haven't seen that, of Vikram Vedha.